Episode 519.
How's it going? Holding up okay?
Yi Chu turned his head and called out towards Soft Mist's direction.
No, get over here and help.
The voice was indeed a woman's, and it came from Soft Mist's mouth. But if it was someone who knew her, they would be utterly astonished, because this way of speaking was nothing like Soft Mist's usual manner. The truth, of course, was that the person currently operating Soft Mist wasn't Tang Ru, but Chen Guo. Tang Ru was currently working the front desk, handling the cash register. It was the evening rush hour, so she didn't really have time for gaming. So Chen Guo was once again roped in as a last-minute substitute. Chen Guo was a big fan of Ye Chu, and she knew the Battle Mage class inside and out. She'd even leveled a small alt. But the truth was, she'd never really played one seriously. It was still a class she was very unfamiliar with operating. She was up against elite players from a major guild whose skill level was a notch above her own. Holding them off was already a strain. If she kept this up, she'd just get herself killed. Fortunately, Yi Shu was quick. He took out Carriage Leader in under a minute. Meanwhile, this elite player from Herb Garden, who was being chased by Soft Mist, had failed to take out Chen Guo, who was, after all, a veteran glory player, within that same minute. So now, with Ye Shu decisively moving in to support, the situation immediately became as simple as 1 + 1. Chen Guo seized the chance to get some payback, but her unfamiliarity with the aquatic environment and her class meant her skills often ended up hitting Ye Shu's Lord Grim. Fortunately, friendly fire was disabled, or else Lord Grim would have taken as much damage as their opponent. The second opponent was down. As for the other two fronts, Blue River was playing it steady, keeping his foe at bay in a deadlock for now. Meanwhile, Qiancheng was closing the gap. His earlier lapse had let his opponents slip away, but now, with the buffs from his Battle Mage's Chaser Orbs, he was steadily gaining ground. Yi Chu saw this and immediately directed Lord Grim to head towards Thousand City's position. At the same time, he instructed Chen Guo, "You go and give Blue River a hand."
Got it.
Chen Guo obediently swam over and thrust out a dragon tooth. But once again, a wave surged, causing her character to lurch sideways. The strike meant for the Herb Garden player was shifted a full body's width, and it ended up heading straight for Blue River. Fortunately, Blue River had already shifted his position slightly, so the dragon tooth didn't land a direct hit, it merely grazed past his side.
Which side are you on, miss?
Blue River was utterly shocked, while Chen Guo offered a deeply apologetic, "I'm so sorry."
Sorry about that. That was an accident.
Get me in the party. Invite me.
Blue River shouted immediately. Lord Grim and his party were in a group, but Blue River wasn't. He doesn't have damage immunity. If that dragon tooth had landed, it would have been no different from taking a hit from an opponent.
Hey, add him to the party.
Chen Guo, worried Ye Shu hadn't heard, turned her head and signaled to him. As he gave chase, Ye Shu spun his character around and sent a party invite straight to Blue River. Blue River quickly accepted. Chen Guo kept Soft Mist at a slight distance from Blue River. She was familiar with Yi Shu, so that was one thing. But in front of a stranger, Chen Guo couldn't afford to lose too much face. Her subsequent attacks were delivered with careful precision. Blue River was already stronger than his opponent. With the extra help, however minor, his advantage became overwhelming, and he quickly seized the upper hand. His opponent had never been truly committed to the fight, knowing that no matter how fiercely he fought, once Lord Grim was free to intervene, he was a dead man either way. His mind was fixed on one thing: escape. But Blue River was far too experienced, leaving him no opening to exploit. Finally, with Chen Guo's added assistance, this elite didn't even last long enough for Lord Grim to make a move on him before he fell to Blue River's blade.
Blue River, you're shameless.
This brother, even in death, was determined to uphold his guild leader's spirit. Being called out like that in front of the girl made Blue River feel a bit awkward. But Chen Guo paid it no mind. Seeing the opponent was dealt with, she immediately looked in the direction Ye Shu and Chen Cheng had chased off to.
How's it going over there?
Is there any doubt?
Blue River wasn't worried in the slightest.
Dummy. What am I looking at here?
Shen Guo tossed out a line that left Blue River utterly baffled, then turned her attention to Ye Shu's screen. Ye Shu caught up right on cue. Just as Blue River had said, there wasn't a shred of suspense to it. The flurry of attacks was so rapid and overwhelming that Qin Cheng's support from the sidelines seemed almost superfluous.
Oh, you guys are done over there?
After easily dispatching the player, Ye Shu turned to Chen Guo.
Done.
Chen Guo counted on her fingers, then flashed a peace sign. Ye Shu nodded and began swimming back, sending a message to Blue River as he went.
Not bad, not bad. You managed to pull in 4 people at once. You're quite the magnet for trouble.
Blue River was speechless.
Keep at it.
Blue River was speechless once more.
Don't be too scared. There are more movement options underwater, and most players are pretty clumsy at it. Just buy me a little more time to escape, and I'll be right there.
I'm going leveling.
Blue River had nothing left to say.
All right, you do your thing. Give me a shout if you need anything.
Blue River's actions were naturally exposed by Plantago Seed, and then the 7 major guilds launched a full-scale verbal assault against him. But as the situation continued to unfold, they finally realized that this kind of behavior wasn't limited to Blue River. It was every single member of Blue Brook Guild and every single member of Tyrannical Ambition. The 2 guilds had plunged back into the fray, but this time they were unmistakably fighting on Lord Grimm's side. They became the Tiger's accomplices, bullying the other guilds. This only stoked the fury of the 7 great guilds, leaving them seething with helpless rage. Trying to take down a player target in the water was no easy feat for them either. Now, the players from these 2 guilds would call for Lord Grimm the moment they were targeted. Lord Grimm, a bona fide pro-god, had absolutely no qualms about it, acting like a summoned beast, arriving on demand. The players from those 2 guilds were no longer the targets of the 7 guilds' attacks. They'd become the bait to lure them in.
What's even more shameless is that these baits are acting outrageously, swaggering all over Thousand Wave Lake, actively seeking out the fish and rubbing up against them, and they're impossible to shake off.
And then Lord Grimm would be summoned to the scene to round up the fish in one fell swoop. The members of the 7 major guilds were practically weeping. They only had to avoid a few key players from the Happy Guild before. Now, they found the number of people they needed to hide from had multiplied many times over. Targeting the 2 big guilds, it looked like they just picked up a rock to drop on their own feet.
Is there any difference?
Yet there were still guild leaders trying to console themselves like this.
Those 2 guilds have already sided with him. Whether we hunt them down or not, they'll turn around and help Ye Chu hunt us. What's the damn difference?
There's no difference, but the problem is, when it comes to killing in the water, we're nowhere near as efficient as Ye Chu. In a fight like this, we didn't get our revenge, we just took more losses. How many people tried to kill today, only to end up dead themselves?
The crowd fell into a heavy silence. They had no heart left to tally the number of dead. Meanwhile, Ye Chu was busy adding a whole slew of new crosses to his personal kill ledger.